Good afternoon. Again, welcome to Evaluating Military and Alternative Credit. My name is Sarah Appel, and I am the project coordinator for the Multi-State Collaborative on Military Credit. Of course, we can't do what we do without special thanks to our funders. Lumina Foundation and USA Funds have been very generous for the work that we do. As an overview, the mission of the Multi-State Collaborative on Military Credit is to facilitate an interstate partnership of 13 states and to translate competencies acquired by veterans through military training and experiences towards college credentials. States will exchange information and share best practices in the areas of articulation of credit, certification and licensure, communication, and data and technology. Our project goals are to assist student veterans with completing post-secondary education and the transition into civilian employment. We also will have the following sub-goals: assist with critical life transitions from the military to post-secondary education and then from post-secondary to civilian employment. Increase post-secondary education completion rates by creating models for the consistent, transparent, and effective awarding of credit for military training and experience that can be scaled regionally and nationally, thereby lowering the cost of education and reducing the time to completion. And we also want to establish a strong network of support, communication, documentation, and data collection among institutions and organizations for the purpose of promoting shared interests and tracking the efficacy of efforts to enhance service members' educational success. We have 4 work groups that do most of the heavy lifting for MCMC. They are the articulation of academic credit, licensure and certification, communication and outreach, and data systems and technology. Today, we're very fortunate to have as our moderator, Mr. Kevin Sosa. He is the Associate Director of Technology, Articulation, and Transfer Network at the Ohio Department of Higher Education. And Kevin, I'm going to turn it over to you now.
Thank you so much, Sarah. And once again, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedules to be a part of this webinar. We're hopeful that the information you receive is very useful to you and it's timely. So as Sarah mentioned, I'm the co-chair, myself and Terry Lambert. She works with Transfer Indiana, and we, both of us together, we had this data systems and technology work group. So the point of this work group is to kind of come up with new and promising ways of how we can possibly use technology to help analyze data, track student veterans, kind of see where assistance is needed, see where initiatives are working. We're trying to work on increasing the retention, graduation rates. We want our veterans to be successful, and we want to do it in the most cost-effective way that we can come up with. So what we do, or some of what we do, is we're using current technology basically at the state and institutional level. So in the past, we've done surveys, we've done things to kind of collect information on how we can move our kind of move our systems forward, if you will, and we do that through strategic partnerships. So, kind of today, one of the strategic partnerships that we're trying to see how we can get members, can get partners to join on with us, and CollegeSource has had their tests for military available for quite some time, but we needed to kind of get a refresher on it and kind of have an idea of what's the next step, how it's currently being used, processes and updates and things like that. So in our communication with Sarah, and a big thanks out to her and her team, and myself and Terry were able to get someone to help us out. And today with us is Mr. Tim Horzmann. He's a process analyst for CollegeSource, and today he is so gracious to give us some of his time and give us some insight into what products CollegeSource has to offer and what products that could possibly help achieve our goal of helping student veterans. So Tim, I give it over to you.
All right, good morning or good afternoon, everyone. I'm Tim, I'm from CollegeSource. Kind of give a little overview about who CollegeSource is. We were founded in 1971 as the National Microfilm Library, and our sole purpose was to scan and create college catalogs and put them on the microfiche. we've grown since doing that. We now have our online database, which is TESS, which has more than 103,000 catalogs dating back to probably about 1995 in the digital sense. We offer our TESS product, our Transferology product, and our U-Achieve suite. We are also happy to help support the effort to get more military service members to graduate college. So we've created a free version of both TESS and Transferology. I'll kind of be going over the free version of TESS today and kind of a little bit into how Transferology works for the student. So a little bit about me. I started working here at CollegeSource in 2014. Before that, I worked for about 6 years in a transfer and registrar's office in Missouri. I see a couple of coworkers and are watching, so I hope I don't disappoint them. We had a large student body with military students. Most of campuses were on military bases. While I was working there, I helped train advisors and evaluators on the evaluation of military credit. And since then, I've been continuing to do that with CollegeSource. Each year at our conference, I try to give a session about evaluating military credit and alternative credits. And been working to get our products working a little bit better with them. So to kind of jump right in, how do people award military credit? There's nothing that's really dictated by anybody. Or the American Council of Education doesn't say anything. The Service Members Opportunity Colleges says it should be granted, but doesn't give any specifics on how. And there's some state legislation that said you need to give credit for military service, but they don't say how much or anything like that. So there's kind of several different ways that people do evaluate military credit, and I want to touch on today, and we'll just kind of show how to use our products to go through and build those credits. So the first one, I'm not really going to cover much because giving no credit's really not really an option when you're talking about evaluating military credit. The first is basic training credit, military experience credit, credit for prior learning, course occupation, and course requirement equivalencies, block electives, credit recommendation to a course, or the DNS credit model. So the way the basic training or military experience credit works is usually a service member, we all know they go through basic training and they've spent time in the service. So the American Council of Education recommends between 1 to 9 semester hours depending on the branch of service for this credit. Typically this credit is given a PE credit or a general elective, or it waives the physical fitness requirement. And in many cases, this will just meet that state mandate because you're technically giving military credit for, or giving credit for military service. Another way requires a student to kind of go through a little bit more jumps and hurdles. So the student spends the time working in the military, they have their occupation, their MOS or rating, and they want credit for what they've done. So they'll put together a little resume of what they've done, try to submit it for credit for prior learning. People evaluate what they've done, and the student's awarded credit or not awarded credit. You can also match a course and occupation to a course or requirement. So in this case, looking at the credit recommendation for MOS 75C-004 at the level 20 for professional management specialists. The person is, or the ACE credit recommendation specifies they have 3 hours of word processing, 3 semester hours of office procedures, 2 semester hours of record keeping, and 3 semester hours in field experience and personal management. All these different components, based on considering that their learning objectives, would be equal to the one human resource management course being 3 credit hours. Then we have block electives. And block electives is where you kind of just take the sum of all the credit recommendations on an unduplicated value. And by unduplicated, I mean if you take the same credit recommendation, so if you have word processing twice, you just count the one that has the most level. And you add all those together and you get a total. In this case, it would add up to 75 total credit hours, but a lot of times that's kind of a disservice to the student because they get a lot of hours that don't really count for anything. So a lot of schools will just cap that at like 12 hours and use the most beneficial credit from it. Then you have the credit recommendation to a direct course comparison. So in this case, you look at what that credit recommendation is, exactly for what it is, and you try to make it an equivalent at your institution. So in this case, word processing, I'm equating to a general elective because I do not have a word processing class at my institution. In my office procedures, I don't have that course either, but because it's more into the office administration field, I'm giving it an office administration elective. And record keeping kind of the same way. But when it comes to the field experience and personal management, it's kind of more of a management internship, so I will award credit for that. Now, kind of the more complex way of doing this is the DNS or SOC degree network system method of doing it. SOC provided a great guide on their website. It comes in the 2-year and 4-year format. What they've done is they've gone ahead and looked at all of the ACE credit recommendations and provided them with a set of DNS codes. And these DNS codes will be matched up with member schools in the SOC network. This is great for schools who are in the SOC network because they can easily look and see what that DNS code is for an equivalent. And then they can look at the other schools in this program and see what that equivalent should be from that institution. So this aids in not just evaluating military credit, but helping standardize transfer credit for military students across the board. You don't have to be a member of the SOC networks to really take advantage of this. Chances are you have an equivalency for at least one of these schools within the network, and you'd be able to make an equivalency across for that. So kind of an easy way to award the student the maximum amount of credit for what they're being recommended, and kind of take advantage of the standard that other schools are applying to that student too. So you can provide the same advantages that a SOC member network school is providing to their students. So you can see here in this case, SOC has gone through and added the ACE credit recommendations and added a DNS course to it. So what you would do is you would take that DNS course, look back at the other chart and see what that course equivalency is. You can see some of these do not have a DNS code, and those were predominantly, that's why they have the elective recommendation. So I'm going to jump in, or before I jump into showing you guys how this stuff works in test military, I want to give a second to see if you have any questions.
Yeah, and thanks, Tim. Thanks for all this information so far. This is really, really useful. We don't have any questions. I don't see any questions in the list as yet. I just want to remind folks that if you have a question you'd like to submit, just use the chat or question box and type out a question and send it in to us. Tim, as of right now, I don't have any questions, so I believe you are probably clear to go ahead and jump into that show.
All right.
Quick question for you, Tim, one that just came in. We have a question that says, how do we know who is in the SOC network?
So can you see my browser screen?
Yes, yeah, actually, yes, we are seeing that. Yep.
Okay, you can come to soc.aascu.org, and you can come in and view the SOC DNS membership network. Here we have the list of the DNS or the schools. I know they changed it on me overnight. But you can see.
There's always some system upgrade.
Yep. So here you can see the list of participating schools in the SOC network. We have 2 years, 4 years, and ones that offer both 2 and 4 years. So it's quick and easy on their website. Any other questions?
Nope, that was it. Thanks, Tim.
Okay. This is our test military product. It's available at testmil.collegesource.com. It's simple. Once you have an account, you have a username and password to enter or to access. So it'll just be your email address and a password. Once you log in, you're taken to a very simplified interface. It allows you to search for courses, build equivalencies, and you can even route stuff out to faculty members. So I'm going to start off with showing you how to find a course. So in this case, you are limited to just the American Council for Education and the Community College of the Air Force. So I can click in and I get to see different data sets. We don't actually collect and make a PDF copy of the ACE Military Guide. We just collect all the listings in it, and we do a collection each March. That way we kind of get the stuff that happens in the early spring, and we're not waiting too long into the fall to get new stuff in. So that's why I'm only seeing the 16 data set here. One thing I'd like to point out is not only do we have the ACE Military Guide, but because of the way we have our data structure, you also get to take advantage of the ACE National Guide and exams. So if you wanted to build course equivalencies to ACE credit recommendations in the National Guide, that information is available in the Test Military Edition too. So I'm going to click in, I'm going to view our 2016 data set. In this case, I'm going to look for Army course. So I'm doing the AR prefix. I'm sure if you've seen a JST, you are familiar with how these courses are listed. In this case, I'm going to look for basic training. So I'm going to go into helps if I get it typed right. So I have my basic combat training. I can click in here, and I see exactly what's in the ACE Military Guide. So in this case, we are displaying all the different versions on the same listing. I know ACE has recently split out the courses into different versions, but because of the bridge to Transferology, we've kept them separate. We're working on possibly splitting them out again. But you can see the different versions of this. If you needed to build an equivalency for this, we have two options to have. We have our puzzle piece option, and we have our route out to a faculty member or another member at the institution. To kind of show you how to build a straight up equivalency, you can click into it and click this little puzzle piece at the bottom. It'll take you to the ability to explore different credit options. In my case, I'm going to go ahead and search my data set, or select my data set, and you can see I get a list of courses, and this is all the courses that apply in my catalog. This is information that when we've asked you for your catalogs, we've collected them each year. We add all your course descriptions in, and that information is available to you via this interface. So in this case, I'm going to go into my where is it? No, I'm just going to give it a testing elective for now. But I can go up, then can confirm, click the puzzle piece at the top again. And I can establish an equivalency for this course. In this case, I want to set the date range for the different versions. So in this case, I want to create an equivalency for version 4, which is active from 3/11 to the present. So in this case, I would create an equivalency with a start date of 3/11 and an open end date. If I were doing a previous version, I would set it for that time period. If I wanted to add any notes to this, I can have a note to display, or I can have just an internal note that I want to keep internally to the test interface. I can click submit, and I've gone ahead and created that equivalency. So you can see I have established an equivalency. If I needed to do something a little bit more complex, I'm going to go in for another. In this case, I'm going to do defense course. And with this course, I need to route it out to a faculty member. So in this case, I can click in, and I can select a faculty member or another staff member at the institution to send this out to. So in this case, I'm going to send this out to Henry Blake, let him have an email reminder that it's coming, and click submit. What this does is this will notify Henry Blake that he's got an equivalency, and he will get an email prompting him with the login, and he can log in, and then he can take advantage of our track section, which was in here. I can see I have a couple assigned to me, but I'm going to look at that one I did for Henry Blake. So in this case, Henry can look at the course and kind of come up with a different, or come up with an opinion on the equivalencies. So if he's going to go through and kind of look at the credit recommendations, if he needs to see the ACE guide, he wants to see the actual listing, we have the link to that right here. So you can look at the credit recommendations here or anything like that. So, and then Henry can come in, select select his catalog year and pick what courses he wants. So in this case, I'm going to give it just an anthropology. Now, a lot of credit recommendations have more than one department that they might have to go to. Henry would then have the ability to reassign it to somebody else. If he were to reassign it back to me, I could then reassign it to someone else. So in this case, I'm going to give it to Radar. And then Radar could make his decision on the equivalency, and it'll keep all the information in the log about who had what, who approved what. It's a great way if you need to send it out to multiple people to get each one of those credit recommendations done correctly. Another option I want to show is in my queue, I have a request that was sent to me for this defense course, or, well, thought I had one created. So I want to create and do a credit for prior learning exam. So I'm going to have the student submit documentation to me, and he's looking to get credit for an MOS. So in this case, I'm going to do MOS 42 Alpha 001. So I have my course right here. I need to create an equivalency request to have it done or looked at. So in this case, again, I'm going to send it to Henry Blake. And it'll come in, and I'll look at the request created by me. So the student I have submitted documentation to me, so I needed to add his kind of support documentation. So here I can choose a file and click Submit. And what this gives is when Henry comes in, he sees a support file at the bottom of the document, and he can then open it up and kind of have the review. In this case, I took the printout from the Army career site about what the job duties are, the requirements, the responsibilities, all that type of stuff. And so Henry can then review this and do recommended credit based on the based on his credit or what he wants to give for human resource management. In this case, he's going to award the human resource management course. So I'm going to pick management. And then I'm going to approve it. Once you put an approval in, this request is sent back to the person who created it. So if I would get an email notification, or I would get a notification that I would have this in my inbox and that I need to establish this equivalency in my SIS system. So looking a little bit more in depth into this, I want to kind of pull up another support document if I can.
Tim, while you work on that, can I pose a question to you that's come through our chat?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so essentially what we have is someone's a full test client, and they want to know that they are asking, that there are some courses or occupations that still do not show the credit recommendations in the equivalency manager or finder. And they kind of want to know if they're being added gradually. Is it, is it a periodic thing, or is there like a difference between what they see and the military version?
So it's not a difference between the data sets. If you have full tests, you basically don't need the military edition because you have access to the American Council on Education in there. If it's a new MOS that's been happened since our last collection, that's probably why it's not appearing. Or if it doesn't have a credit recommendation by the American Council on Education, then it's not going to appear in the data set. Those are probably the only two reasons why that information would be missing.
Great, thanks so much, Tim. One other question. Does this allow different approvals for the different skill levels on an MOS?
So that's a great question. So when you want to do for an MOS, there's several things you can do. We have a tool, it's called user-added courses. This allows you to add kind of elective courses into your data set. One of the things I found very beneficial for kind of to display and work with it was to create a user-added course or user-added department called a pay grade, and then create the different pay grades and different ratings for the different skill levels and pay grades. That way I can attach that to the equivalency while I'm building it. So in evaluation trackers, so I've got my MOS one here. I could select my equivalent course and do a pay grade, and I would do an E3 and would have a pay grade attached to it when I came to the person. So that way they would know what pay grade they're evaluating. You can also add that in the comments. But ultimately at the end, if you have a course attached with it, can I run into what some of the established ones I have already? You can see here I've got skill levels associated with them, and when this displays in Transferology, it'll show those courses with that equivalency of being the skill level, so it'll indicate to the student what pay grade or skill level they need to have to attain that equivalency. So I talked about that SOC degree network. If you come into the SOC page again, go to publications. You can come to these degree network handbooks, and you can download the one that's really beneficial is Chapter 5. And I just want to make sure you guys can see the PDF document.
Tim, we're waiting for the PDF document to load. It just seems like we have a gray screen right now. There we go. Thank you.
So in this document, you can kind of get into the degree network courses and or the transferability tables and stuff. So it'll show you, based on the school, what their courses are equal to what category code. And then if you come into the tables at the bottom, you get to see what that code is for the credit recommendation. So you can look at a school. So we'll take this accounting one, for example. I'm going to look. Let me zoom in for you. So I can see at Ashford University, Accounting 205 is the equivalent to Financial Accounting Principles within the ACE Military Guide. So if I see an ACE credit recommendation for Financial Accounting Principles, a team of evaluators have looked at that course, and we're talking other faculty members at other institutions have reviewed that military course and occupation, and they have determined that it's worth the equivalent of this course at an institution, and it should get that credit recommendation. So if you have a credit recommendation for Ashford University, or an equivalency for Ashford University for Accounting 205, and you see this as a credit recommendation in the ACE guide, it should probably equal the same equivalency given the credit hours. Sometimes you'll see credit hours on the ACE credit recommendation that are below 1 hour. Most of the time, I don't recommend people give a credit equivalencies for that because it doesn't really show the depth. I'd like it to be at least 1 hour, within 1 hour of what your actual offering is, with what my recommendation would be. But it's kind of a great tool that if you were to look at I can go back in and jump in. Just pull this one up real quick. You can see here in the credit recommendation, I get community sanitation or agricultural pest management. I could look for one of those in here, and I could see if anyone's granting equivalencies to that credit recommendation, and then compare it against my accreditation table or my equivalency tables to see if I'm giving any of those equivalencies. It's kind of a nice, simple one. You're not worrying about going out and trying to get all this stuff figured out. It's just kind of laid out on these tables. And there's a lot of schools on these tables and a great resource. The only problem I have with it is the resource has not been updated in a few years. It's been last updated in 2015. But over at SOC, they've been having a big shakeup, and they've been doing a lot to get the degree network system to accommodate more alternative credits, career, technical education. And they've been revamping the degree network system as well. So hopefully there'll be an update soon. If not, These tables, I think, are kind of gold, and I would recommend downloading it. I have a link at the end of my presentation on how to exactly get to this page. So, any questions on kind of the basic features within creating equivalency within test military?
Tim, we don't have any other questions right now. We just had a question come through if we can post a link to that PDF. And I'm thinking what we'll try to do is see if we can make it available after the meeting's over and we send out information.
And I have it on a slide later on in the presentation too. We can hang on. People can try to write it down if they want to.
Okay,
or it'll be available. I said you were going to post the PowerPoint later on.
Right.
So once you've added equivalencies into tests, you get to take advantage of managing them within our equivalency manager. So in this case, if I ever needed to update anything that's been built or I need to look at it, you can click into our American Council on Education, and you can see all the equivalencies that you've had. The nice thing, there are ones that have gone through Tracker will have the Tracker logs there. Ones that haven't will just have Evaluation Manager logs. You can always come in and edit anything. So if it's effectively in-dated, I know I can come in and add an in-date cap to it, go ahead and submit it, keep it up to date. So it provides very easy maintenance. So basically it's kind of test military in a nutshell. It's a really stripped down version of our test product. For our test full users, there's something I'd like to show, or a couple things I'd like to show you in the full version of tests that are limited in the test military edition. So let me log out of there and I'll jump into our test product. Now you notice a little difference. We've just recently rebranded our main sites and we're slowly working our way down to the free site. So in tests, one of the things that's really great in Equivalency Manager is our guidance product. So I can come into our American Council of Education listing here, and I can create groups and group reports. What this allows me to do is I can kind of create a Navy degree map, or I can come up with kind of a path for way a student will get credit based on what their skill level is. So in this case, I've created a Navy degree map, or basically a map of how the students' courses are going to transfer based on their pay grade. I can also add a link to an external, I think that link is dead, it's been a while, but it's to an external website that'll show the actual Navy degree map. Kind of allows you to display all this information all at once. We also allows you to take advantage of our public view in the full version. So in here I've got my American Council of Education listing again, and the students can look at that degree map on the public facing view. Really kind of a great tool, easy to read, look at. Next thing I wanted to show is if you're kind of doing pre-evaluations, you can come up and do a course list report for that student. Now CollegeSource does recommend that you do not use a student ID for the report title, as that it could be sensitive information for the student. So usually first name, last name. We just recently added these text bars to it, so if you needed to find one, but it's really easy. You can come in, creating a new report. I'll search for ACE so I get the American Council on Education. And then I can come in and I can add the courses from their JST, JIF transcript if I'm using the Community College of Air Force. And then I can view details of that report. I can see if I have equivalencies for those courses already, and if not, I can click into the course detail, and I can use the footprints or puzzle piece feature to go ahead and immediately request that, so I can get to the student. If you've ever worked on or been to a military base in the education center, the first person who can give them that answer about how their credits will transfer and how much or the most credit they're going to get, this is a great tool because it'll send that instant notification that someone needs to build an equivalency to it. If you can get that question answered the quickest, you're most likely to get that student to enroll at your institution. So I can go back, I can always go back to my list of courses, select the next one I need, build and route that out. And then if you're really ambitious and you want to have equivalencies for the entire ACE military guide every year, we have this nice course change explorer feature. which allows you to explore what courses have been added to the military guide, which ones have been dropped from the military guide. So in this case, I can click in, hit submit, view the 2 catalog years.
Hey Tim, this is Kevin. This is really good information. I noticed that you're going through really quickly, and I was thinking that we still have plenty of time. So if you wanted to slow down just a little bit, just so users can get a chance to like see some of the transitions.
Okay. So it's doing a big comparison right now because it's comparing the 2 ACE military guides from 2 separate years and looking for changes in the course title, course code, the description, which is going to be the most important one, because if there was a change and an end date, it would show up in the description. And we also get to see what courses were added or dropped. So I can see here just what courses have changed in the ACE military guide. So I'm going to click in, I'm going to view, and I can see what the changes are kind of highlighted on this page. I'm not seeing, so it must just be slight punctuation changes. But we can see if there was a title change. You can see here just a slight difference. ACE is always mixing things up with us because their website is live and always changing. Each year there are subtle changes in the data sets that we have to accommodate. But if I wanted to be proactive, I could see what courses have been added. So this is where I would be able to check and see what the new courses are, what the new ratings are, all the new stuff that came in. So you can see here are some of the new ratings from last year that didn't exist prior. And nice to click in is you can immediately start to go and review it right here. And you can also use the puzzle footprints and puzzle piece tools to route that out. So in this case, I'll give it to Margaret Houlihan, and she can make that credit recommendation. So, because I kind of ran through that a little quick, anyone have any questions? I can go run back and jump through something for you.
Thanks so much, Tim. This really is good information. I do have a question that came through just before you had switched to the evaluation tracker. Someone had a question about how do they compare other catalogs, or how do they compare to other catalogs? And I think that was just when you were in the previous demo.
So because our data set is structured in edition years, we're able to look at all the courses and information between those different editions, and we look for any changes in those. And we have an algorithm that looks through and ignores a lot of subtle changes, and it looks for kind of major changes, and then we'll highlight that. We're still refining it, just like anything computer-wise. You can always make it better. So this works for, if you're a full test customer, you can do this for different institutions as well. It allows you to kind of keep up to date each year with what new courses are being added from different institutions. Really helps out with keeping articulation agreements up to date and just keeping on top of your feeder schools to make sure that you're answering all the questions correctly.
Thanks, Tim. I have another. I have 2 questions that actually I'm going to combine into one, since they're kind of similar. So, how do people with no test access right now, in other words, they're not a full test customer, licensed customer, is there a fee for them to get access to this and use it, or how would they get signed up? And by all means, if there's another process, you can just let us know.
Anyone interested in a free edition of Test Military and free Transferology can contact our sales team at sales@collegesource.com. Then our regional sales reps will be in touch with you, and they'll help you get you set up on a free trial. At that point, when you get started, if you need help with a little demo of going through stuff again, they'll help schedule something with me or one of our other trainers to go through and how to build military credits.
Thanks so much, Tim. You said it's email at test@collegesource.com?
Sales@collegesource.com, or you can come directly to our website.
Sales. Okay, got it. I just wanted to put that in.
Contact Us form to ask us a question, and we'll get you routed to the correct person.
So I have a couple other questions. One of them, and I think you may have touched on this before, schools must be a part of tests in order to participate, right?
What was that?
The question was, schools have to be a part of tests at some level to participate, or at least to put information in, correct?
No, if you want to just do ACE military credit, you can get the ACE free, or the test military edition for free. You don't have to actually participate. What we will need to do is make sure we have your data set so you can build equivalencies to it. That's really the only participation. But we do have a large number of institutions' catalogs in our data sets.
All right, good deal. I have a question about how long does the trial last?
We do free trials of the full version of test, but the test military is a free subscription. It's just to help aid in the evaluation of military credit. So, for as long as you need it.
All right, good deal. I think I may have gotten. No, I have one other question. If someone's a full test member and they use what they have now, not the free session, it's pretty much the same, is it, or is it a bit different?
The ACE guide data is all the same. You get a lot more features with the full version, like the course change explorer, the public view management, the ability to use our batch editor to update stuff, that type of stuff. The test military is really locked down to just the viewing equivalent, or viewing the information, routing it out to a faculty member, and storing equivalencies within the test interface.
Good deal, good deal. And one last thing, if someone had, let's say maybe they already had gotten access and it kind of fell off, would they just contact sales@collegesource.com to get started again?
No, they can, or if they've already got access and they just need a reminder about what their password is, on the support tab in both these versions, we have a contact us form. Or if you're logged in, it'll auto-populate your data, or if not, you can just fill it out. Again, this appears on the main screen too. You can use your forgot your password if you think you already have it, but if you click that forgot your password link, you can get into the support document right now and then contact us this way too. And if it's a sales related question, we can also route it to them through our system.
Great, thank you so much, Tim. I think we're all caught up, so you can continue on.
All right. Well, at this point, I'm going to jump over to our Transferology product. This is our website that allows students to explore their transfer options. Now, we do have a free version of this too, which will leverage your military equivalencies that you've built within Test Military and allow students to see how those military equivalencies will apply at your institution. It won't pull any of your other equivalencies unless you're a full Test and Transferology subscriber, but it will pull just the military course work over. So Transferology is a great resource for students. We basically make it really simple for them to explore their transfer options. All it takes to create an account is an email address, first name, last name, and a credit password. For the ease and kind of the speed, I went ahead and created a military transcript in here. But you can see I can add military courses. I can pick the range or the date I was in. I can pick the organization. And then I can add the courses that I took. In my example, I just took the sample JST from the ACE website or the ACE website, and I'm going to add those. I already added those courses in. So at this point, I can then go search for matches and see how my military service credits will apply. In this case, then Transferology displays this based on the percentage match and then the proximity to my institution or to where I'm at. So in my case, 44% of my military work will transfer to the University of Toledo. If I wanted to click in and see what that would be, I can click in, and I get the breakdown of how my courses will transfer. I can expand the notes to see what each individual one will apply to. And these can be public notes that you put into test or the equivalencies that you built in Test Mil. So it allows you to kind of give full disclosure to the student about how your courses will transfer. If the student likes what they see, they're able to request information for you or from you. And they can click in, add those courses, ask what they want, and they can request that information from you from the Transferology lab. At any point, the student can return to their search results and look at different schools. Schools will appear as long as they have at least a one course match. You can see here Normandy Community College is a 3% match, and they're still appearing in the list. So I can see here, I'll get this course, but I have these 9 maybes. These 9 maybes are courses that Normandy Community College hasn't evaluated yet. So as Transferology does not know an exact decision for them. So we're not going to lie to the student and say that they will transfer. We're just going to say they might be transferred. If the school indicates that they won't transfer, we will have that appear on a no transfer tab, or a tab that basically indicates that they don't transfer. And then if a student were to add any courses from an actual institution that were there, you could have those appear on, if a student took any courses from you, they would appear on and taken as at your institution. So a student can do any results. So if a military service member is moving from one duty station to the next, they can do look for results. So in this case, I can look, I'm moving to the Great Lakes area, so I wanted to go to or explore my options at the City Colleges of Chicago. And so I can see my transfer options here. I can see my maybes. And the nice thing is the institution side, if the student requests information from you, you'll be able to access this information, and then you'd be able to kind of build equivalencies for that here. And we'll jump into that when I jump into the lab. But I just wanted to ask if there's any questions on the will my courses transfer side of Transferology. I'll take that as a no.
Sorry, please continue.
Okay. So the other side of Transferology is find a replacement course. This is great for students when they're trying to find an equivalency. This really doesn't apply much for the military version because unless a student is looking to switch occupations and they're trying to get college credit for it. But this will allow a student who's attending your institution to enter a course that they need to take at your institution. So in this case, I'm going to say I'm attending the University of Missouri. I need to take a math course because I know I can do college algebra better at another institution than I can at my home institution. So I'm going to go ahead and search for matches. And you can see, based on my location, where the best place for me to take this math course would be. In my case, because I'm located out in California, my best option is to take it at Arizona State University's main campus. In this case, I can see I need to get my college algebra course, I need to take Math 117. So this is a great way for students who are traveling, especially service members who may be switching duty stations, but you're their home institution and you're where they want to graduate, but they just got transferred, they're short that one course, they could come in and search where they could take that equivalency. Again, for this feature to really be beneficial, you need to have the full version of Transferology to leverage your existing equivalencies. So any questions on that?
Tim, so far we don't have any additional questions.
Okay. Well, I want to show you the Transferology Lab. I know we're getting kind of close on time now. So Transferology Lab is a staff-facing site for this. You can kind of click in, go immediately into the lab. Here's where you can kind of control your school information. You can do your profile picture, your general information, set up accounts so you can have your recruiter, general contact roles. You have your subscription if it's trial or if you're going to be test mill, that information. You also set your location. You can see here I'm out in the middle of the Pacific, kind of relaxing. And here you can control your user management. When a student requests information from your institution, it'll come in one of two ways. We have our recruiter section and we have our advisor section. So if I come in, I don't get a lot of traffic on here. So I can kind of click in, I want to view. I get my student information. I can click into this and I can see exactly what their credit transfers are. But I can see if they're requesting financial aid information, admissions information, they want to schedule a visit, or that they need veteran resources. Once I service that request, I can mark these and indicate them as done. And I can also archive these and keep them in an archive section. If a student's requested program information, you can access that on the advise section, and you can see what the program the students asked for, and you can check and see what's all there. So in case, go back to a custom range. And you can see what students are requesting, who's got verified email with that. One of the nice features I want to show you too, before I jump out and we go just start questions, is we have our unknown equivalency section here. This lets you know any equivalency that a student's requesting information for that you don't have information on. So if you switch to our test mode, you're able to route these equivalencies into tests to have an evaluation done. So you can have admission staff working with military students in Transferology lab and routing equivalencies to them, or routing the equivalencies to your evaluation staff or your faculty members within inside of tests. It's a nice little integration we have between the two products. And you can also keep on top of those by looking at the test evaluations, in which case you can see here I have several that I have out for evaluation. I can click in, I can see the status, and I can just check and get back to the student once it's complete. So I know we're kind of getting close in time. It's almost time to go. So I'm going to jump out and go back to the presentation. So I want to provide some useful links for you guys here. Here's a link for this is the link for the DNS guides on the SOC website. And of course, you probably have the ACE military guide, but we'll also provide links to our test military and our Transferology websites here. Hang on that. My next slide just says questions, so I can go ahead and let anyone write that down if who needs to. We can start asking any final questions if anyone has some.
Thanks so much, Tim. I'm looking here in the panel, and I don't see any additional questions. Yeah, I think we can just hang for a hot second on this page while folks have an opportunity to make to get some of the links down. And this will be a part of the presentation that we do send out, so don't feel like you must get it right this second or you'll miss it. All right, in the spirit of saving some time, I don't see any additional questions. Tim, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. This has been a really wonderful webinar presentation you put on for us, and I'm hoping that when we send this out, folks that weren't able to be on this call or at least be a part of this will be able to view this information and maybe reach out to you or reach out to us for any follow-up. Sarah, I would like to turn things back over to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Kevin. And thanks again, Tim. We sincerely appreciate it. Feel free to join the conversation and contribute your successes or lend your expertise. We are on Facebook and LinkedIn, so please check us out there. And again, if you have any questions about MCMC, please feel free to contact me, and my information is on the slide. Thank you again for joining us today, and we will have this webinar available shortly. Have a good afternoon.